Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Visitor Parking Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Vargas. On today's episode, I want to talk about something quite serious, quite personal to a lot of people, in an overall life experience that people go through. This is another episode, series, segment of Visitor Parking called Alex Hates You All, more personal journal than anything. I want to talk about why are so many people afraid of quitting their jobs, changing careers, changing partners, changing a lifestyle, losing weight, getting healthy. I want to talk about why are so many people afraid of changing careers. When we're younger, we are told that we are special. When we're a child, we are told that we're important and that we matter and that you're different. As we get older, we keep our dreams to a certain extent. I want to be a fireman. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be an actor, a movie star. I want to be a singer. Maybe you experienced a lot of trauma and you just want to exist. But life narrows down your dreams. It has a funny way of narrowing down the person you want to be, the person you should be, and eventually just turning you into the person that you are right now. You pack on debt, you pack on love, you pack on weight, you have children, you have duty, you have work, and duty becomes the death of love. Love becomes the death of duty. And when we're young, we see the world so differently. And adults and parents and figures of authority are telling you from a young age that you can be anything you want. You can follow your dreams. But as we get older, we find out that we're not so special. And we're not so different from one another. So, if we're not so special, then what makes the people that we value in our lives special? What makes the hero special? What makes the actor special? The singer, the musician, the person at work, your boss, your coworker. You have a couple special people in your life that you can think of right now. People in your history or people in your life that you've known. And so if it's not being born special and being destined for greatness and being destined to be whoever that person is, I've dumbed it down to being special is how you make someone feel. Being special to someone is the way that you can be special. The actors that you see, the movie that inspired you, Han Solo in Star Wars, like the way that somebody portrays a character on a screen, that's what makes them an actor and a star. But the way they make you feel, the way that they can touch you and really connect with you, the feeling you get from the person is what makes that person special. Special people make us feel less lonely. They can make us feel less afraid. They can make us feel more loved, more empowered. So if none of us are special, and all of our dreams should matter and do matter, but we get shut down and narrowed by life and reality. So what's left? One, you can accept your reality and say, okay, this is my reality and I'm stuck here. Two, we can say yes. Or we can say, yes, this is my reality right now. This is my situation. This is where I am. But there also is a reality that I'm looking at on a screen or in the office next to me or the person I talk to every week. There is a reality that exists for me that's more in line with the things that I love. And the special feeling I get from that person and their life, that's really what I want to feel. That's what I want more of. I want to be that for somebody else. But if they're an actor and I love movies and watching them act and the way that they make me feel, I want to make somebody else feel that way. For me, it's watching Lord of the Rings on repeat. I watch The Lord of the Rings on repeat because it makes me feel hope. It makes me feel like no matter how dark the world gets and how scary it can be, no matter how many wars are going on or wrongdoings or evil deeds are done, Gandalf always reminds me that there are not only forces of evil at work here, there are also forces of good. So it reminds me that in times of despair, in the darkest moments, that there are equally good forces out there, but you have to see them and you have to reach out to them. You have to fight. One of the most powerful scenes that I keep picking up from my favorite character is Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. He is just the wisest, oldest, most powerful, magical. He makes everybody around him feel safe. He's like Dumbledore. When you have Gandalf by your side, you feel less afraid. But there's a moment in Lord of the Rings where Gandalf looks at Pippin, there's a moment in Lord of the Rings where Gandalf is talking to Galadriel, and she says, "Why the halfling? Why did you pick this hobbit to save the world? Why do you pick him to go on this adventure? Why do you put so much faith in these half people that are half the size of man? They like to drink and smoke and eat and laugh, and they don't really contribute much to the world other than, living a simple life. Why them?" And he says, "Because I'm afraid, and he gives me courage." And that to me meant everything in that movie and the book series, which I haven't read. But that's really the truth. It's these people around you that whether it be your relatives or, a special person in your family or, people that have this gift to make you feel safe or seen and special. And he said, this guy that's the most powerful wizard in Middle Earth besides Sauron, and he's got all these forces of good around him. And I get he's a book character. It's personified. Somebody came up with him. But my point with Gandalf is he chose this person because he is afraid. And Bilbo makes him feel less afraid because Bilbo demonstrates such courage. He balances him. He gives him hope that there's something worth fighting for. And, we cannot give in to despair all the time. There's a couple different scenes in Lord of the Rings where he does the same thing, where he's, the city is about to be overrun. There's a million bad guys, orcs at the door. And the steward of the king is saying, "Flee, flee, flee for your lives." And Gandalf whacks him in the face with his staff, and he says, "Prepare for battle." He gets all the troops back in line, and he says, "You must not give in to despair. You fight, fight, fight." Ew, Donald Trump took that line, didn't he? But yes, my point is here, there are two forces, good and evil. Both are at play all the time. Evil is sometimes just fear. Fear stacked with anger, stacked with jealousy and hatred, and it's molded. And then there's this good side where you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but there's no point in hurting, taking a life and ending Gollum. And I know it feels like we're tangenting. If you're not a Lord of the Rings fan, I get these metaphors are going to be hard to understand. So we'll probably edit some of this out. But let me think here. There are numerous times in Lord of the Rings where Gandalf is told, the world is ending. You are done. You will never see the light of day. The courage of men will fail. There will be no next day for man. We will win. And he looks at them and says, no, that is not the truth. We will fight back and we will prevail. We will bring you back to the abyss. Which is kind of crazy when you put Tolkien's writing. It's good versus evil. And there's so many times in life where we highlight the bad and the evil forces without realizing that there is also good at play, and it's almost the one you feed. So if you're constantly looking over your shoulder to say, oh, if I change this job, if I leave my husband, if I end my career, like if you're constantly looking at the other end of, I'll be nothing and I'll die in this chair. I'll never move on. This will be my life forever. And I'll never do what I love to do. And I sacrificed everything. I sacrificed myself for all of you. Which one is going to win? The one that you feed. But let's say, okay, let's look at the other side. Assess your reality. What can you control? Without playing in all the evil powers of the world, you can't dominate other people. You can't bend people's wills, and take all these shortcuts to get things to be the way you want. But do you have to be around all these negative people? Maybe some of them are your family members. Maybe some of them are, your people that you once considered friends. No. Do you have to accept some of their answers that they give you? Like surrender, give in, fight, surrender, give in, just roll over. No, you don't have to give in to any of that advice. At the end of the day, you must trust yourself. I said this last time, but I'm going to say it again. Frodo said to Gandalf, Gandalf, if I don't know who to trust, what am I supposed to do? Who do I trust then, if they're all trying to take the ring? And Gandalf looks at Frodo and says, you must trust yourself. And you must trust yourself. I don't know what another career looks like. I don't know what another job looks like for you. I don't know what another marriage looks like for you. I don't know anything about you, but you have to trust yourself and know that there are also forces of good. So if you are leaving with good intention, if you are going towards something that you know in your heart is right, if you're marching towards a path that you know will make you happy, you've got to keep going. Despair is defined as thinking that tomorrow will be the same as yesterday and the day before that, and giving up hope that nothing will change. There are many times where Gandalf does not tell you to win, where the story characters and these heroes and these things that we worship, and they relate in real life. Like, there are many battles that you will fight that you may not win. There are many times when you may not want to go on and carry the ring to Mount Doom. But giving up is the same thing as giving in. So never give in, my friends, because there is so much out there for you. And I have to believe that for myself. Because as somebody who grew up doing the same thing that my parents did, my parents started a staffing company. I went into staffing. I really didn't choose to be in staffing. For me, that was just my way of life. And it's kind of like, it would be like growing up in a time of war almost, when you saw it and you saw how powerful it was, but you never really wanted the things that came with all the power. And the money and the riches and the gold, and it's not for me. It's not for me. But there's duty. There is love. There is trust and debt. And there is so much more responsibility that goes into career changing than people will ever tell you. And I get the weight of it, my friends. I 100% understand the weight of feeling stuck on the edge of something, feelings trapped under a wave that you know will crash, but you can't escape. And asking Gandalf, was there ever any hope? And Gandalf says no. Merely a fool's hope. So, sometimes hope hangs by the edge of a knife. And I am choosing not to give up hope and choosing to believe that I am meant for greater things and I am meant to be special to so many other people than I am right now. And I'm also not ever going to try to let the people that rely on me down in the process. But there are a lot of things that need to change. When I got into staffing back in 2016, we wore button downs. We tucked our shirts into our pants. And we wore dress shoes, and we had to take a shower and slick back our hair, and everybody went to work. We all sat in traffic. Didn't even notice the traffic. I mean, traffic. People talk about traffic now. I never once talked about traffic prior to 2020 when COVID started. That was just implied. And working hard, staying late in a sales community, that was the norm. There was no other way of doing things. You grind it out and you watch other people succeed around you and you see how much it works and monkey see, monkey do. There was always the wave of people who weren't interested in that lifestyle, but they didn't have many other places to go because whether they work here or there, they've got to go in somewhere. And, there were people who wandered, right? But nowadays, after COVID, when Pandora's box was open and the beautiful, if you imagine these buildings, right? You imagine these massive office buildings as, bring another Lord of the Rings reference in, as Gondor, this great, beautiful city of kings. Now imagine Gondor as it is in all the movies. It's in ruins. Parking lots are empty. There are offices vacant. People don't respect the kingdom anymore. They respect only themselves and survival and their security and what can you do for me. And the sense of community, really fell apart after COVID. So my industry, going from a large company to a small company, it was hard to see because it now feels like we're alone on an ocean versus how it used to feel where we were on a crowded, busy town or road. Like, the salesman is been in a bit of an exodus since COVID, and I have fallen victim to it myself. Like, I watch all of these people with so much free time and so much laissez-faire. And I found myself at first being mad that they're not motivated, and why can't everybody be motivated? Because then I won't feel so alone, you know? And I think that's kind of something that scared me, and was like, I kind of went into this. I went into like, I'm a warrior. Like I'm a fighter. I'm a soldier. And then when I had to start my own company and do all these things and build the community, when the world had changed completely, people didn't seem to value the same risk for reward structure. They want reward and security. It was hard for me to stay hardened in it. Felt like I was the only warrior fighting, and occasionally I get a good warrior to come by my side with me. But, you know, over the years, it's been hard. And I had to think, if I ever really loved this, there was a time for sure. I used to love it. Like, I used to love the people, used to love the interactions, going to work, and, the community, and the nature of the beast of business. But the way it is now, I've changed a bit. I'm not the same as I was 10 years ago. The people aren't the same. Nobody has stayed the same. Standards have changed. There's less of a rush. It's definitely a lull. You talk to any business owner, nobody's doing well as they were before COVID. And if they are, they have a large amount of government contracts. Even them, like, I really don't know. But here's the deal, kids. The reality is, you got bills to pay. You can't quit. You can't change careers. But what you could do is feel what's in your control. How can I invest more time in the things I love and find a way to love the thing I do until an opportunity presents itself? So I would never give up hope, but I dare come close. I don't need to answer all these questions. I wish I had the answers for you, other than to tell you it's difficult. Changing careers is tough. Changing your life is tough. I've done it a couple times. And it's you get pulled through a needle. It's not what it seems sometimes when you get to the other side. And then sometimes it is. If I had never found the love of my life, if I had stayed for duty and sacrificed love, I'd never have what I have now. Like, I'd never have my family. I'd never have met my wife. I'd never be in a position, I don't think, to where it's like, wow, I am worthy of chasing my own dreams, and my own life can come, and I don't have to throw it all away to go after the things I love. But yeah, guys, this is hard for me. It's really, really, really hard, because I've loved my job. I've loved the money my job brings me for so long that it would be very hard to part ways and find a career that can pay me nearly as much as what this career pays me. Since I was 23, 22 probably. Yeah, because I was 21 September I had started. So yeah, I mean, for the past 10 years, I haven't made under like 200, 300,000. I got all the way up to making $400,000 a year. And, that's kind of my threshold. So does being a TikToker and a YouTuber sound good to me? Hell yes, it does. But when I actually ran the numbers, even if I'm a really good YouTuber, a really good TikToker, it still barely pays me, what I would make doing this, and it only takes me probably 3 or 4 days out of the week, really, to maintain. So it's definitely a difficult transition to think about, but I've started to look, and I really do love this. Like, I love getting on here and podcasting. I love the way actors and comedians make me feel. Like, I want to be that for other people. Like, entertainment is really where I'm at. And sales to me was always just another art form of entertainment. I entertain my clients. They end up paying me. I don't care to know the logistics in between. I got very good at the logistical stuff and the parts that I hated, but really for me, I'm a showman. Like, that's what I love. So with Claude computing, with this new coding that you can do, I mean, there's so many different avenues to where you could take your career. I've had people tell me, don't get a career coach, or, just, I don't know. If I thought this was the right time for me to make a switch of careers, I would do it. Do I think that I'm in la la land about that? No, like, not at all. Some days I go to work and I just cry when I get there. Like, so it's tough. And I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying there is so much that we've got to figure out. And I don't know what to do. So if we're not special, and everybody is special, so it's either we're special and everybody's special, all we have is reality, where we are now, and that's it. So if you want to be somewhere else, you just start taking steps to go somewhere else. You want to be an actor? Step one, take an acting class online. You can't afford the class, but you really want to do it? Go get a job, another job, until you can afford the class. And then you can afford and you can go to the class. How much better do you think you're going to feel about that class when you took that extra job, you spent the money, and you went to the acting class? Same thing if you want to switch careers. If you don't know the career field that you want to get into, before you leave your current career, you should probably start practicing. You should probably go read a couple books on it. Maybe it's just a 30-year-old revolution, but since I started reading books, I realized that I could really learn. You could learn anything in this motherfucker. Like, books are a great way to learn. And you think you could just get all on TV or YouTube, but I think my piece of advice on this career switching thing, stop getting advice from TikTok. Stop getting advice from YouTube. My wife showed me advice from TikTok, and we got in a little bit of a tiff about it just because I was like, dude, I don't want to see this anymore. I'm like, that person who's giving me life advice is 21 years old. They have yet to fuck up their life. Like, they have yet to see what happens when they press the eject button. They have yet to go down left and right and center and see what's going on. So when you're 30, you have a little bit more wherewithal to say, you can do it, but it's going to be painful. Or you feel free to try that, but if you don't have this, it's not going to work. So I'm coming from a place where I've had life experience now, and I would never, ever take advice from 20-year-old me. I just wouldn't do it. And there's a ton of people out there that I see that are referencing too much TikTok, too much YouTube. I love TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I'm going to be that person giving you advice. But I want to make sure you're learning from somebody a little bit more experienced. So, hi, my name is Alex Vargas. I'm 31 years old. I own a company, made millions by the time I was 28, 29 years old. I had a child out of wedlock. I restarted my whole life more than once. I've made a ton of mistakes in my personal life. I have lost countless friends. I have had bad blood with many different employees. I have had fights with people I never thought I would fight with. I've cut off relatives at times that I never thought I would have to cut off. I've had people cut me off that I never thought would ever cut me off. I've been through things that I never wanted to go through. And like Marcus Aurelius says, in the mornings, we are all the same. When we wake up in the morning, we are all cold. We are all vulnerable. We are all in remembrance of our history. And it doesn't matter if you're rich, if you're poor. Life happens to everybody. Your health happens to you. Your family happens, your friends, your situation. And again, what's kind of becoming our family motto over here is, our suffering isn't special. What makes us special in this family is how we respond to it, how you get yourself back up when you're down, how you can still show up for your family when you don't feel like it, how you can still try to be happy in that job that's paying the bills, how you can still work on finding a different career without giving up the career you're in possibly. How can I keep this business running and be less involved one day? How can I pass the torch? How can I get the business to where I can do more of the things I love, teach people sales, watch them get excited about it again, see people who have never made the kind of money I make the kind of money that they deserve to make. I mean, that's where I need to get to in my career. I've been in the seat for too long because I've just refused to stay in the seat long enough to be able to get somebody else into it. And that's my mistake. But there's a respect you have to give life, and just tell yourself that it's okay. If this takes a lot longer than you thought it would, okay, a couple of years, what is that quote? People overestimate what they can do in 1 year. They underestimate what they can do in 10. What I am building right now over the next 10 years with my staffing business, with my podcast, with my YouTube, with my one-day comedy or acting career, this is going to be special, and I'm not giving up hope. But I have to acknowledge that there has been despair. There has been lack of confidence. But what makes me special, hopefully how I make you feel, and how I make my loved ones feel, the people that support me unconditionally and vice versa, showing up for them and never giving up. That's, to me, where I'm starting to score my life a little differently, So, thank you guys for listening. I hope I didn't leave you with more questions about your life than not, but I also just want to take a moment to tell you guys that I don't know if anybody has it all figured out. The more I watch TikTok, the more I look under the hoods, I'm like, how old is this person giving me advice? What has this person done? What would they do if they were here? Could they communicate this to me in person? So I think that I, like you, had gotten to such an unconfident space because of social media, because I started taking advice from TikTokers, maybe fitness advice from skinny people, or genetically gifted. I detached a bit from the reality of life, and that real people got to go to work. Real people got to work hard and get what they want. And I can't make an excuse for where I'm at. If I want to be a social media figure and a personality, I've got to get better at it. I've got to figure out a way to be more myself, which is really, really hard on camera, to just be raw and say things that are embarrassing and not just shock value, but real honest you is what people relate to. Like the TikTok clips that I post that I put zero thought into, those are the ones that pop off. The calls that I make in sales where I put almost no effort because I've gotten 100 no's. What do you want, Bob? Do you need anything? Yeah, Alex, I actually need a lot of help. Those are the calls I do the best in. So being yourself, no matter the costs, is probably the best advice I could give you guys. And just knowing that suffering and winter and everything is seasonal. It's not linear. I am much of the Western school of thought that there is a season for everything. There is a season of death. There is a season of rebirth. There is a season of life. And then there is a season of dying. Like there is a lot, and it's going to all come around again in a circle forever. Whereas the Eastern school of thought is very linear. You go here, you progress, progression, death. There is no going back or failure. Back is failure. Back is failure in the Eastern school. You go back in the East. I'm sorry. I've mixed these two up. Western school of thought is seasonal. Eastern school of thought is seasonal. Western school of thought is linear. So in the West, it's all you progress, you graduate high school, you graduate college, you get a job, you get a family, you get a better job, you get a better job, you get a 401k, you retire, you're happy, you're done. If you move back, if you change careers, if you make mistakes, that's negative. It goes against your progression. Whereas in the Western school of thought, whereas in the Eastern school of thought, it's a season. There's a season of life. There's a season of death. There's a season of dying. There's a season of rebirth. There's a time to plant, and there's a time to it's what will be again. So there will be sadness again. There will be happiness again. There will be strength again. So I'm starting to believe that this is just the first quarter. This is the time to row with and close your eyes and just have good intentions and hope you end up on the other side and just survive until spring. Spring comes around. Now there's a time to pick our heads up. Now the opportunity, there's an affair in the tides of men. Something about the tides of men. Tides of men, quote. There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted, all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves, or lose our ventures. There is a tide in the affairs of men. I love that because that's a very Eastern way of thinking. There is a tide, and at the flood, you take the opportunity. There's no point fucking trying to put your paddle in the water when there's no water. You're not going anywhere, so you might as well just dig in, make yourself happy, and then when the tide comes, boom, now we're clicking, now we're selling, now we're podcast, whatever your dream is. It will come. You just have to have hope sometimes. So that's all I got for you guys. God bless America. God bless our troops. And remember, Alex hates you all. Goodbye.